On October 6, 1979, a game warden stumbled across a body in the woods near Mountain Island Lake. More than 40 years later, modern DNA profiling helped identify the body as James Harold Smith, a then 33-year-old construction worker living in Charlotte. However, the mysteries behind Harold Smith's death have yet to fully come to light. On arrival, Gaston County Police found no weapons nor any clues that would point them towards a suspect or motive. No family members or loved ones came forward looking for Harold Smith, who had likely died months before his skeletal remains were located. Join us as we shed light on the unsolved cases of the past. This is Gaston Unsolved. Horseshoe Bend Beach Road, now a gateway to hundreds of homes in northeastern Gaston County, was mostly surrounded by woods in 1979. Located several miles from Mount Holly, the rural road intersects with NC 16 and runs towards Mountain Island Lake, which splits Gaston and Mecklenburg counties. The remains were initially said to be those of a black man, somewhere between 5 feet 10 inches tall and 6 feet 2 inches tall. He was fully clothed, wearing an imprinted shirt, black pants with a comb in the pocket, white deck shoes, and a silver chain around his neck. The autopsy revealed he was shot in the back of the head. Gaston County Police believe he died more than a month before he was found on October 6, 1979. Police say they found no clues, such as weapons, shell casings, blood splatter, nor any clues that would suggest that the man was killed off of Horseshoe Bend Beach Road.
Like we said earlier in the earlier case, there's no convenience stores in that area. There's no housing up in that area. It was literally a place to drop a body, do a body dump.
Just 200 yards from where Smith's body was dumped, the body of Roger Dale Fowler, a 31-year-old Charlotte man, was found on December 30th, 1978. Police continue to investigate Fowler's death, though a suspect in that case has yet to be named. In the days following the discovery of Smith's body, the Gaston County Police Department shared a description of the man with law enforcement agencies across North Carolina, in the hopes of matching the description with a missing person. However, no missing persons reports matched that of the man found in northeastern Gaston County. It seemed that no one was really looking for the man, and forensic DNA technology to help identify victims of assault and homicide wouldn't be introduced until at least the 1980s. The case went cold. Elwood Smith and his older brother, Harold, grew up in Robeson County, about 150 miles east of Gaston County.
I remember back in the old days, we grew up as real close. We stayed close all the way up. It was somewhere back when we was young, 14, 16, 17 years old. We used to sleep on the porch out at home with my mama. They used to sit in the house and listen to old radio, country music and stuff. Jamboree, and we sat on the porch and play guitar and make our own music. We sleep on the porch all night. It's a farm. It's a farm county. It's where they raise all animals and vegetables and fruit, corn. Anything you need to live on is raised in Robeson County.
Born in 1951, Elwood recalls working on farms in the area into the 1970s.
I got so tired of it when I turned 18 years old. I said, I'll never do another day's work in Robeson County. I bought me a little old $50 car from my brother, got insurance on it, went to Charlotte.
The brothers worked, lived, and played in Charlotte. Elwood and Harold would spend their free time at the city's nightclubs. Harold would sing and play guitar and was known to entertain a crowd if he had the opportunity. In November of 1978, 27-year-old Elwood was charged with first-degree murder in the shooting and killing of Gary Stratton. The Charlotte Observer reported that the shooting erupted when Elwood was at the Fonz Club in Charlotte when he saw his ex-girlfriend and mother of his child with Stratton. Elwood was convicted in 1979 and saw his brother, unknowingly for the last time, that June. The days became months, and months became years. While no one in the public sought to find Harold, Elwood grew suspicious of his brother's whereabouts.
He disappeared, like vanished. And that's always bothered me. I had to do 30 years in prison wondering where my brother was. I could never get any answers. I tried to get answers. I wrote letters. I had people on the street trying to find him, but that didn't work. Then when I got out, I tried to do it myself.
Elwood was released from prison in 2008. He searched for answers, but no other family members had heard from Harold since 1979. In 2014, Elwood would file a missing persons report with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department.
I had a bunch of pictures of my brother, but when I was in prison, they come up with a new rule and regulation in the prison system where you couldn't have but only 7 pictures. And you think you had over 7 pictures, you had to send home or get rid of. And I sent it to my brother, one of my other brothers. He lived in Gaston County. I sent it down there and put it in his house, and his house got burnt down. Everything I had got burnt down. Everything I'd sent from prison had got burnt down.
Upon taking over the Criminal Investigations Division of the Gaston County Police Department, Captain Billy Downey helped establish a stronger focus on working on cold cases.
One of the things I found when we started looking at these cases is that these cases are starting to deteriorate. Cold case investigations can be very frustrating because you don't really have anything to go on. You have very little to dig into, and I start reading these cases. I'm like, oh, this sounds like, I need to go talk to this person. We need to go talk to this person, and we'll dig into it, and they're either 12 states away or they've been deceased since 2012.
Gaston County Police Records Technician Charlie Craig supports the unit by preserving reports, photographs, newspaper clippings, and other deteriorating notes from Gaston County's cold cases, including this 1979 homicide.
Some of those old cases were not in our modern aegis system where the guys can go in and look the case up and look at the photographs and read all the detective's notes from back then. And back then, it was the same as in the movies. The yellow legal pads and everything was in pencil. Well, after 50 years, even a file on a shelf, it's fading away.
There's no DNA testing. There's not an Ancestry or 23andme.com. There's none of that stuff in play.
The remains were in the possession of the Chief Medical Examiner's Office for more than 40 years. In early 2020, Gaston County Police Sergeant Josh Hamlin used NamUs to attempt to match the missing people in the region to the remains. NamUs is the national database for missing and unidentified persons cases.
It prompted NamUs to look into this case as well. NamUs, after Sergeant Hamlin talked to him, extracted a molar and sent that molar to the University of South Florida, who did a mitochondrial DNA profile, and based on that DNA profile, they were able to come up with a basic sketch of what they think this gentleman looked like. We got an email from a company out of Woodland, Texas. They're a genetic company that does genotyping and DNA on these type of cases, and they have access to NamUs, so they saw this 1979 body dump, and they were interested in helping us with it.
In the summer of 2021, with the help of a forensic genealogy company called Othram, Gaston County Police had finally identified the man found near Horseshoe Bend Beach Road in 1979 as James Harold Smith, who was 33 years old at the time of his death. Gaston County Police contacted Elwood and visited his home with the news.
He said it was a homicide. And he told me, he said he'd been shot in the back of the head and shot in the temple. That's what kind of surprised me, because somebody gonna kill somebody executioner style. That's bad. You got to have a grudge to do that. And I cannot figure anybody to have a grudge against him, because he'd take his shirt off his back and give it to you.
No, sir, no, neither. I'm gonna be the...
We're starting to see some fruits of the labor. Every victim has a family, and those family members deserve to know. If nothing else, we may not be able to charge anybody on this case. Our person of interest is already deceased. We have an idea who did this crime now that we know who our victim is. So we won't be able to charge anybody, but we could at least go to the district attorney and present the case and say, this is what happened, what we think happened, do you agree with us? And if the district attorney signs off on it, then we can go to the family and say, here's the story, here's what happened. The offender's already dead. We can't do anything about it, but we can close the case and give them some closure. But that's why we keep working on these cases. We have currently 19 cold cases. We've been in existence since 1957. So to only have 19 cases that are unsolved, I think it's a big number, but also comparative to agencies our size across the country that have hundreds of cases that are unsolved. I think we're doing a pretty good job. So we want to make that number even lower, though.
Around here, the cases are still talked about, and they're never forgotten. Never.
I would like to bring closure to it. All I can do is sit here and say I got theories. But somebody, I'm hoping, knows something.
Next on Gaston Unsolved, a beloved sister.
I hope for my sake and her son's sake that, we finally, find out what happened to Jennifer.
Making dangerous decisions.
If somebody would come forward and say, I know who did this and I know what happened to her, that would be the ultimate for the families. They need closure.
A search full of heartbreak and frustration. We ask the question, where is Jennifer Rivkin?